Welcome, my friend. You did not arrive here by accident. Something within you, perhaps a whisper, perhaps a desperate cry, has led you here. And before this message concludes, you will walk away with a secret that will not only change your thoughts, but reshape the very fabric of your reality. Stay until the end, for there is a promise buried in these words, a revelation you may have longed for without knowing, and when it is revealed, your life will never again be the same. If you feel the call of these truths, I invite you to subscribe, to stay with this journey, and to share it with those who are ready to awaken. For today we will pierce the veil of illusion, and you will discover the power that has always been yours. Listen carefully. Everything you see around you, the clothes on your body, the walls of your home, the job you hold, the relationships you keep, are echoes of an inner assumption. They are shadows, reflections, the afterglow of who you once believed yourself to be. The world, as solid as it appears, is not first cause. It is not the driver, it is the mirror. And mirrors have no power of their own. They can only show you what is placed before them. If you see lack, it is not because the world is cruel, it is because your inner world has been quietly, perhaps unconsciously, entertaining the state of lack. If you see abundance, it is not random chance, it is the harvest of seeds you planted in consciousness. Neville Goddard once said, "The world is yourself pushed out." And though these words sound poetic, they are not poetry, they are law. The law of assumption, that what you persistently imagine, what you accept as true of yourself, though denied by the senses, if persisted in, will harden into fact. This is not a motivational slogan. It is not optimism, it is law. Now here is where many stumble. They believe they must toil, grind, claw their way to success, that life is a battlefield, and only the strongest win. But look around. Are the wealthiest always the hardest workers? Are the happiest always the busiest? No, for success does not belong to the one who sweats most under the sun. It belongs to the one who dares to assume most boldly, in silence. Consider this. The skyscraper that touches the clouds existed first in the mind of an architect. The empire that spans nations existed first in the dream of a single man. The song that moves the soul existed first in the quiet hum of imagination. Everything is born within, and only then does it cast its shadow into form. Your world is no different. But let me ask you, what assumptions have you been making? What quiet truths have you accepted about yourself? Do you secretly whisper that money is scarce, that love is rare, that health is fragile? Do you wake each morning rehearsing the problems of yesterday? If so, do not curse the world for reflecting it back to you. A mirror does not mock, it simply obeys. Yet here is the wonder. At any moment you can change the image, you can choose another assumption, and the mirror must change. It must, for it has no will of its own. You are the operant power, you and no one else. So, if you wish to be wealthy, you must assume wealth. If you long for love, you must assume love. If you crave freedom, you must assume freedom. Not tomorrow, not one day, not eventually, now. For imagination is always now. To say I will be is to confess that you are not yet, and the law will echo your confession. But to say I am, even when the senses deny it, even when logic scoffs, even when the world laughs, that is the daring faith that moves mountains. Let me give you a story. A man stood at the edge of despair. No job, no savings, no future as far as the eyes could see. By every measure of reason he was finished, but he heard these words, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled." And though it made no sense to his mind, something in his spirit caught fire. He began to imagine. Night after night he lay in his bed and pictured himself signing checks, shaking hands, receiving congratulations. He imagined until the feeling became realer than the bare walls around him. Weeks later, an old friend he had not spoken to in years called him with an opportunity. A forgotten debt was repaid, a door opened, money flowed, and in less than a month he stood where once he had only dreamed. Was it luck? Was it coincidence? No, it was law. His assumption had taken root, and the world, obedient as always, had reorganized to match it. But here is the question. Will you dare? Will you, even tonight, begin to assume boldly, or will you let the world dictate to you who you are? For make no mistake, if you do not choose your assumptions, the world will choose them for you, and the world will always choose small, limited, fearful roles. You must choose greater. So imagine yourself wealthy, not hoping, not wishing, but already. Feel the leather seats of your car. Hear the laughter at your dinner table. Taste the richness of freedom. Do not wait for permission. Do not ask how. The how belongs to God, to the deeper dimension of yourself. Your task is only to assume the end and persist. The bridge of incidents will appear, mysterious, perfect, undeniable. Someone will call. A door will open, an idea will spark. But you will know it was not chance, it was law. What if I told you that in exactly 30 days your entire life could look unrecognizable? Not through struggle, not through hustle, but through a simple, radical shift of assumption. That the money you crave, the love you desire, the peace you long for, all could stand at your doorstep 1 month from now, if only you would dare to persist in the unseen. Would you take that challenge? Would you risk being called foolish for the chance of being free? Because if you will, then what you are about to learn in the next moments may be the greatest discovery of your life. For the key is not in effort, it is in being. You do not manifest what you want, you manifest who you are. And who you are is nothing more than what you have accepted, assumed, and persisted in believing. The beggar who longs for riches will remain a beggar so long as he longs. But the beggar who dares to assume he is already wealthy, who walks, thinks, and feels as though his pockets overflow, that man cannot remain poor. The world will conspire, twist, bend, break itself if necessary to make his assumption flesh. So let me speak plainly. You must stop asking when, stop asking how, stop asking if. These questions betray unbelief. They are the language of the old man. Instead, you must stand boldly in the language of faith. It is done. It is mine. I am. Repeat it until it becomes natural. Live in it until it becomes your only truth. For when the assumption feels natural, the manifestation is near. Close your eyes for a moment and breathe. Imagine the scene of your desire fulfilled. Do not strain, do not force, simply allow. See it, hear it, feel it. If it is wealth you seek, see the numbers in your account, crisp and undeniable. If it is love, hear the voice of your beloved whispering your name. If it is health, feel the vigor rushing through your veins. And here is the mystery. As you imagine it, it is real. As far as consciousness is concerned, it is done. For imagination is not idle fantasy, it is the seed of reality. The question is not whether it works, the question is whether you will persist long enough for the harvest to come. For seeds take time, and if you dig them up every morning to see if they have sprouted, you kill them. So too with your assumptions. Plant them in faith, water them with repetition, protect them from the weeds of doubt, and in due season you will reap. Do you see the pattern? Life does not respond to effort as much as it responds to state. You may run 1,000 miles, work endless hours, and still remain broke in consciousness. And the broke in consciousness remain broke in life, no matter how much they try to force. But a man who is wealthy in consciousness, he cannot be kept poor. Even if stripped of everything, he will rise again, for the state will demand expression. This is why lottery winners lose their fortunes, why kings fall, why self-made men rise again from ashes. It is not about possessions, it is about assumption. The outer world is a shadow, the inner world is substance. He who controls the inner will always command the outer. But you may be asking, how do I assume what I cannot yet feel? How do I believe when the evidence screams otherwise? The answer is simple: by practice, by rehearsal, by deliberately entering the state again and again until it becomes natural. You do not need to believe instantly. You only need to return consistently. Every morning as you rise, close your eyes and live the day you wish to live. See it already done. Every night before sleep, revise the day. If it was filled with lack, rewrite it in imagination with abundance. If it was filled with conflict, rewrite it in peace. Do this not as escape, but as creation. And soon the subconscious will accept it as true. And once the subconscious accepts, the outer world must follow. It has no choice. It is law. Remember this: you are not begging a distant God to grant you favors. You are awakening the God within, the creative power of imagination, the divine spark that speaks in pictures, that dreams worlds into being. When you imagine with feeling, you are praying. When you persist in assumption, you are worshiping. And when you see your world bend to your inner conviction, you are beholding the miracle that has always been promised. As within, so without. So stop waiting for permission. Stop delaying until the conditions are right. Conditions are never the cause. They are the effect. You may change them now, tonight, in the silence of your own mind. I must warn you, though, this path is not for the faint of heart. To live by assumption means to defy appearances, to ignore the evidence of the senses, to walk by faith when all others walk by sight. The crowd will laugh. They will call you foolish, delusional, unrealistic. But let them laugh, for they laugh only until you win. And when you win, they will call you lucky, not knowing that luck is simply law misunderstood. So stand firm, walk boldly, persist silently, and let the world be confounded when your assumption blossoms into fact. Do not mistake this for denial. We are not pretending problems do not exist. We are not closing our eyes and hoping the storm passes. No, we are commanding the storm to still. We are rewriting the script. We are declaring the end and letting the world conform. This is not denial, it is dominion. The dominion given to you from the beginning when imagination was breathed into your soul. And here is a truth that may shock you. You have already been using this law. Every circumstance in your life today is the result of past assumptions. You have imagined this. You have assumed this. You have persisted in this. Whether it is good or bad, rich or poor, joyful or sorrowful, it is your creation. You cannot escape the law, but you can learn to wield it consciously. Think of the last time you feared something deeply. Did it not eventually come to pass in some form or another? And the last time you believed something wonderful with all your heart, did you not see hints of it, traces of it, perhaps even the full harvest? This is the law at work. Your inner speech becomes your outer world. Your assumptions crystallize into fact. The question is not whether the law works. The question is, what are you assuming? Change the assumption, and the life must change. It has no choice. Let me give you a method. Tonight, as you lie down to sleep, choose one scene that would imply the fulfillment of your desire. Not the process, not the steps, only the end. If you desire wealth, imagine a friend congratulating you. If you desire love, imagine slipping a ring on your finger. If you desire freedom, imagine yourself boarding a plane with no concern for money or time. Keep the scene simple, short, and repeatable. Now, enter it in imagination. Feel it real. Hear the voices. Smell the air. Touch the objects. Let every sense participate. And repeat it gently, drowsily, until sleep takes you. Do this faithfully, and watch as bridges of incidents unfold in your waking life, carrying you effortlessly to the very scene you rehearsed. This is not superstition. This is not wishful thinking. This is law. It works with precision, with obedience, with absolute certainty. The only variable is you, your persistence, your daring, your refusal to doubt. For faith is not the absence of doubt. It is the refusal to bow to it. Faith is standing firm in the end, even when the beginning looks barren. And if you will do this, if you will live in the end faithfully, life will rearrange itself so perfectly, so mysteriously, that you will one day look back in awe and say, I could never have planned this, and yet it is mine. What if I told you that the greatest power in the universe is not out there, not in governments, not in economies, not in fate, but in the quiet words you whisper to yourself when no one is listening? What if the secret to wealth, to health, to love, to freedom has been lying silently in your imagination all along, waiting for you to use it deliberately? And what if, in just 30 days of practice, you could bend reality so dramatically that the people around you would not recognize your life? Would you believe me? Or better yet, would you dare to test it for yourself? This is the invitation. For the next 30 days, become ruthless with your inner speech. Guard your assumptions as though they were treasure. Do not rehearse lack. Do not confess failure. Do not indulge fear. Instead, walk, talk, and feel as though your desire is already yours. Let this be your experiment, your proof, your demonstration. And as you do, remember, the world is not happening to you. You are happening to the world. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the author of circumstance. You are not the beggar at the door of fate. You are fate itself, cloaked in human form. And now we arrive at the threshold. We have walked through the shadows of doubt, past the illusions of circumstance, into the dawning recognition of your power. But still, there is a deeper truth I have yet to unveil, a truth so radical, so staggering, that when you finally grasp it, not as an idea but as your lived reality, it will shake the very ground beneath your feet. The truth is this: you are not merely imagining, you are God imagining. The same power that spun galaxies into being, that carved rivers through mountains, that painted the stars across the velvet of the night, that same power is flowing through your imagination now. When you say, "I am," you are speaking the very name of the infinite. When you dare to assume, it is not a mortal trick, it is the divine act of creation itself. This is the secret hidden in plain sight. The one you call God is not far off, not outside, not beyond. He is within you, speaking in your assumptions, living in your imagination, creating through your inner world. The outer world you see is God's reflection of what you dare to accept as true of yourself. Pause here and let that settle. You are not a beggar at the throne of heaven. You are the throne itself. You are not a child hoping for divine pity. You are the divine operating as man, clothed in flesh, testing the depths of creation through the experiment of assumption. And the promise I gave you in the beginning, that if you stay with me, you will walk away with a power that will change your life forever. This is that promise. You are God in imagination. You are the operant power. And the moment you accept this as fact, not as philosophy, not as theory, but as the very structure of your being, your life will transform in ways you cannot yet fathom. Think of what this means. You are not bound by past mistakes, because past is only the echo of old assumptions. You are not chained by present conditions, for present conditions are merely shadows of what you once believed. And you are not limited by future fears, because the future has no life of its own until you give it form. At every moment you are free to assume anew, free to cast off the garments of poverty, sickness, loneliness, despair, free to clothe yourself in wealth, in health, in love, in joy. And the law will mirror it, inevitably, unfailingly. For the mirror does not argue. The mirror does not judge. The mirror simply reflects. Now I know what your mind may whisper, but is it really that simple? Can it truly be that I, in my smallness, hold such infinite power? And my answer is yes, it is that simple. The complexity lies only in our unwillingness to believe. We have been trained by the world to trust appearances, to worship facts, to bow before logic. But appearances change. Facts are shadows. Logic is a servant of assumption. Do you not see? The very device on which you hear these words, the very electricity that powers it, the very language I speak, all of these were once unseen. They lived first in the imagination of men who dared to believe. And now they are as ordinary as air. Your dream, no matter how impossible it seems, is no different. It already exists in the unseen. Your task is not to create it from nothing. Your task is to assume it, to accept it, to live in it until the unseen condenses into the seen. But here is the final challenge, the final test. Will you persist when nothing seems to happen? Will you remain faithful when the world mocks your faith? Will you dare to believe not for one night, not for 1 week, but until it feels natural, inevitable, unquestioned? For persistence is the secret ingredient. A single assumption, like a single seed, must be tended daily until harvest. You do not water once and expect a forest. You water daily, you nurture, you remain faithful, and in time, the forest comes. So let the next 30 days be your demonstration. Let it be your proof. Assume your desire tonight. Live in it daily. Revise your world nightly. Guard your inner speech ruthlessly. Persist until it feels natural. And watch. Watch as reality bends, twists, reshapes itself to match the new you. And now here is your final hook, your cinematic call to arms. What if in just 1 month you looked around and saw the impossible standing in front of you? What if your bank account overflowed, your body glowed with health, your heart brimmed with love? What if the people who once doubted you stood in awe, unable to explain the transformation? Would you recognize then that you had always been the power? Would you finally see that imagination was not escape, but the very engine of reality? This is not fantasy, this is law, and it is waiting on your assumption.
Let me tell you a final story. There was a woman, frail and forgotten, with nothing to her name but debt and despair. Night after night she lay awake, wondering how she could ever escape the prison of her life. But then she heard these words, "Imagination creates reality." Something within her stirred. She closed her eyes and saw herself free, debt paid, home restored, joy returned. She rehearsed this scene nightly until it felt more real than the walls around her. One day, without warning, a distant relative left her an inheritance. Another day, an opportunity arose for work she loved. Within months, her life was unrecognizable. Did she hustle harder? No. Did she manipulate the world? No. She assumed, and the world obeyed. And when asked, "How did you do it?" she smiled and said, "I did not do it, I assumed it." So too will you smile 1 month from now, when the impossible stands before you. And now, at the very end, I give you the full promise. You will be a millionaire, not because of luck, not because of effort, not because of hustle, but because you will awaken to the truth that imagination creates reality. You will no longer beg life to change. You will no longer plead for miracles. You will assume boldly, persist faithfully, and watch the mirror of the world reflect your conviction. And when it does, you will know beyond doubt that the power has always been within you. So go now, close your eyes, enter the scene of your fulfilled desire, feel it real, repeat it nightly, guard it daily, and within 30 days watch as the unseen becomes seen, for it must. The law cannot fail. Imagination creates reality, and imagination is you. Remember, you are the operant power. You are not at the mercy of life. Life is at the mercy of you. Believe this, live this, persist in this, and nothing will be impossible to you. The promise has been delivered. The power is yours. The only question left is, will you dare to use it? If these words stirred something within you, if you feel the quiet fire of possibility rising in your soul, then do not let it fade when this video ends. Keep this truth alive. Subscribe now so you never forget the power that belongs to you. And share this message with someone who needs to awaken from their own dream of limitation. Comment below the words, "It is done," as your declaration, your covenant with yourself, your proof of faith. Remember, this is not the end. This is the beginning. The next 30 days will be your demonstration, your proof, your awakening. And when your life transforms, return here and tell your story, so that others may find courage in your testimony. The law is faithful, the mirror is waiting, and the world is ready to reflect the greatness you dare to assume.